All right, we are on my test bench with this Monte Carlo System 80B MPU board, and I have replaced the ROM with a free play version that McZonk on Pinside has come up with, and I have mounted that ROM in a daughter card replacement, because I always replace that daughter card on all 80B games that come through here. I have replaced the filter cap, and by the way, that's how you can attach a logic probe if you need to System 80 CPU is just across the positive and negative of that filter cap. I have implemented the slam switch mod, which is this loop of wire, which I always tie a hang tag to when I'm done. And this one did have a failed 6532, so I pulled one from my NOS stock, and a switch column and row, I may have that reversed, 7400 and a 7404 had failed, so I've replaced those also. Somebody had socketed all 5 of these switch matrix chips. These are the switch matrix chips, the columns, rows, and this one is used to read the dip switches, either at power up or when a game starts, I believe. So they had encountered some switch matrix problems with this game before, and I'm a little bit concerned that if that problem isn't remedied and we put this repaired CPU board back into the game, it's just going to damage the same 3 chips or maybe more. I'll add a CR2032 battery holder from this solder pad to this one, and then put a blocking diode on the back side of the board with the band on the outside of the board from this pad to this pad. And then that'll power the 5101, which in this case is a SCM branded 5101, and that one is just fine. Since the since the MPU doesn't provide any indication of what's going on when you power on, we'll have a look at the display. Now this is a nice Lizzie 80B display. You can see it's got the free play indication down here, and we're scrolling through the typical things that occur on an 80B game. The lamp drives are all active. That's typical for an 80B game. This is one of my bench driver boards. So let's put it into test with my simulated homebrew switch matrix tester, which I made a long time before Penatech came out with theirs, which are nicer than this one, sure. Here we're in lamp test, and it just chases through each of the lamp drive circuits. Now you'll see some of these green LEDs do not light. In this test, they're either unused by the game, or some of these are pre-drive transistors or pre-drive circuits for under playfield transistors. Now let's transition to 80B sometimes advances the test for you. Let me get back to relay and solenoid test. So you can see here, it's driving some of these pre-drive transistors. This is pretty normal operation since Gottlieb ran out. Wow, that's a lot of them in Monte Carlo. Gottlieb ran out of big solenoid drive circuits, because the driver board only has 3 of these 2N3055 CAN transistors. 1, 2, 3. And these MPS U45s are insufficient to drive some of the bigger coils. So they'll use some of these MPS U45s or even these MPS A13s to pre-drive MJ2955s or 2N5875s underneath the playfield. So let me get to the next test now. It went back to lamp test and switch matrix tests. All switches are open, which is what we hope to see. I'm going to go across the diagonal of the switch matrix. Fortunately, Gottlieb had the presence of mind to report all 64 switches, and there you go. So the switch matrix is totally operational now. Dip switch is set to 03030743, and that is correct. And that enables free play with this particular ROM that I've installed. You set the coin switch control dip switches to all off, and that enables free play. And display test is working correctly, and memory test will tell us that the 5101 is correct, and it'll indicate the game prompt checksum, and no indication of any other issues with those game ROMs, so this board is good to go. So get a hang tag on there describing what I did to it, and get it back into action. Thank you so much.